Beautiful.
Because it wasn't all the cats, just at 7, right?
7 from each. That's the important thing. I took some from all, or some from each. That's stratified. If I would have said take all the cats from 3 selected shelters, cluster, because I took every cat from a few. So I always think cluster like the Honey Nut Clusters cereal.
Mm-hmm.
You take a whole freaking cluster at once, you know. So it's everything or nothing for cluster. Stratified is a little bit from everywhere. Yeah.
C, because I'm confused. I would say random.
7C. So again, 7C is sort of a repeat. 7C says some patients from each hospital, some from each. Stratified.
How is it stratified?
Because the main idea of stratified is that it takes some things from every group. So what groups did they break it up to? Hospitals.
Okay.
And then it took
they
some
went to
from each
different
group.
hospitals.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't convenient at all for me.
Okay.
Convenience would be I take the first 8 patients I see in this one hospital. That's convenience.
I would have said convenient, sort of like random. Like, you just come on.
It is random, but it's more than just random. There's more of a method to it. Random would just be picking patients' names out of a hat.
Right.
That's truly random. This one's got a more of a method, stratified.
Okay.
Some from each, yeah.
Got you.
We're sort of like, hopefully you guys realize we've transitioned into whatever the hell you guys want to talk about will be discussed now. So if nobody's asking any questions, the floor is yours, right? Is there a kind of problem you want to do? We can do another standard deviation problem. We can homework questions, practice question, practice test.
What about number 2?
Oh, good. All right. So, I like to, I think you picked up on this maybe, I like to try to make things that we do very physical. So again, if I said every step I take is 7 inches, let's say. So I'm kind of going around kind of like sneaking around somewhere. So I'm taking 7 inches of a step. You with me? Every step I take is 7 inches wide. Let me see. What was it? Where did it go? Where am I at? Which one was it? There. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Find the position that is 4 steps away from, let's say, above 4 inches. So if I'm at the 4-inch mark, what position is 4 steps above that? What would you do? Yeah, I hear the right answer. How do you get it? I want to go up. 4 steps, and each step is 4 inches big, right? I'm sorry, 7 inches big. Too many 4s up there. I want to do this 4 times, so 4 times 7 is 28, and then I just add that on top. Now, let me take it back to this question. So it's a very physical idea. Take 4 steps, I'm 28 inches away, so I'll end up at 32-inch spot, wherever that is. This question says, book prices, oh yeah. The average price, oh boy, this is from a while back, I guess. $98. Standard deviation of $13. So this is the mean, this is the standard deviation. What textbook price is 2 standard deviations below the mean? So I want to start at the mean, and I want to go up or down? Down. How many steps? 2 steps. That's the physical reality of what it's asking. 2 steps below the mean. You can see that? So then, no? So let's see. Well, that's a good example. I can't get away from steps in my head.
It says it.
It does say it. It says it exactly. How big is 2 steps? If every step is $13, $26.
Yeah.
So then, what price is 26 below 98? That's all it's asking for, right? So 98 minus 26. Yeah. And the other one says so many above the mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1.24. Who cares about the decimal? I want to start at the mean and I want to go up or down. Up. How many steps? 1.24 steps. Bam. Throw in the old calculator. What is this? What's the symbol for this? Mu. And this is plus. This is, of course, the standard deviation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stay with me now. I know this is pretty. What's this? Yes, I love it, because that's the number of standard deviations away from the mean. So that's going to give me a data point. Now, stay with me now. I could just sense you guys going like, I'm going to stop listening to this shit right now. Watch this. All right. So later, I was going to say later. We're going to do it right now. I just solve that for x. What's the worst thing about that as an equation if it was staring in the face in algebra class? Like it's staring in the face right now? What's the worst thing about that equation? It has a what in it? Fraction. How do I kill a fraction? Multiply by what? Multiply size by what? The denominator. Right? Denominator. Z sigma equals x minus mean. How do I solve for x? Add the mean. So add the mean, add the mean. Yes?
1.24?
We did this just because it made physical sense. But guess what math says? Math says, I knew that shit. Right? That's all math is just keeping track of what makes physical sense in formula form. We did this without a formula, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And most of you guys at least pretended to me, if not was really saying that it made sense. Start here, go this many of these. Start here, go this many of these. But look at the formula. The formula says, yeah, that's how you figure out a data point. Now watch, tell me again. What's the z-score tell you? The number of standard deviations from the mean to a data point, right? I will let you put this on your formula sheet if you want to. And you ready? You're not allowed to put, let me say this. I haven't said this officially. You can only put the formulas I had up on the board. You can add this to it. You with me? You cannot put notes. You cannot put some kind of your own language that you made up. You can't put your language that you speak. I've seen some Arabic symbols on something and I had it translated and it was a note. I was like, no. Good try though. Right? So you can't have something that not everybody can have. If you lose points on your notes, on your formula sheet because of that, too damn bad. Yeah. Now, watch this note. This is a note. It's a formula, but it's also a note, so I can't keep it off your sheet. What's the z-score tell you? The number of these from this to that. Right? If I start at the mean and I add this many of these, I get to the data point. So what's the z-score tell you? The number of these, the number of standard deviations away from the mean to the data point. You can read, well, every equation you can read in math and English. Mathish to English, this was especially one that you can read directly in English. And it is exactly the definition of z-score. Staring you in the face.
But now that you showed us, like, with the numbers and everything, we know where it goes now.
Yes. So, but again, I want you to realize, we did this problem before I showed you this equation, right?
Right.
So equations don't have to exist first. Most often, equations capture what we do anyway, and then sometimes they come. If that's true, they have to agree with an already existing equation. So the concept has to marry with what we just frickin' do. Yeah. Or else something with the math is wrong. Right?
So if you would have showed me that first, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about?
Thank you. Yes. But I desperately try to make sure people understand. Yeah.
Yeah,
When we
then
get to
I get it
probability
now.
equations, especially, I very often tell people don't even use them unless you're in this kind of situation, because
Okay.
with probability they just get in the way. Because the equations have to be the most general they can be, which
Right.
very often makes them harder than they have to be in easier situations. All right. You're not used to a math teacher saying that equations are not always good. But that's what just happened. Because statistics is the most honest math. All right, anything else? Sorry, I went way off on a tangent on that one. Anything else you guys want to talk about, look at? Yes, so wow, 3 people, you.
Can we do 105 on 2.71?
Oh, cool, I like it. Oh, all right. 105, so just to kind of put z-scores in their context, percentiles are a measure of position. Does that make sense to say that? It's relatively to everybody else where you are, so it's relative position. Z-scores are another form of relative position, right? So if you calculate z-scores for number 105, for everybody involved, you can see who did relatively better. So it's the same thing I said earlier. If I score a 40 on a test in my class and you score an 80 on your test in your class, did you do better than me? You don't know. Because maybe my average was 30 and I scored a 40. I'm above average. And your score was an 80, but the average was 93. So you're way below average. So if I calculate the z-score for those situations, I can see relatively who did better. Especially if my teacher's going to curve the grades, my 40 is going to end up being more than your 80. Does that make any sense? Z-scores help us do relative comparisons between things. Relative to the data, how big of a change is this, right? Does that answer the question or no? Is that enough, or did you realize you had to do z-scores?
Yeah, I just wanted to can we set it up, table?
So let's see, what, no table is set up, because they tell you all the information. The mean was 11 with a standard deviation of 3 for Rachel, right? So just looking at Rachel, this is number 105, Rachel. Mean was 11 and the standard deviation is 3, right? I'm going to say yes, okay. I think it is, blah, blah, blah. And she ran 1 mile in 8 minutes. Rachel's score was 8 minutes. What was Rachel's z-score? So what's Rachel's? 8 minus the mean
11,
divided by the standard deviation.
3.
-1. So she's 1 step below the mean. Do the same thing for the other person.
Oh,
Then you can compare to see who's relatively better. So surely if I make one test and somebody makes a 70 and I make a different test and somebody makes an 80, I can't compare those because those are different tests. I have to know the average on this test, the average on the standard deviation, then I can see who did relatively better. That's why they do percentiles on SATs. We talked about that. Relative position is the better way to compare things. So Charlotte, there's that question about airlines that drives you crazy because it's a very simple reason that you can't just. So the number of complaints, airlines. This should sound familiar by now. Everybody should have done this problem. Yes. So one airline gets more complaints than another. Does that mean that airline's bad?
no.
Because you need relative. In this case, the relative is percentage. Percentages are relative to the total. Right? There's more people in prison in California than some other state. Does that mean that we're just a bunch of unruly jackasses? What does that mean? There's more people in California, so that's dumb. I got to look at percentages. But believe it or not, I see this all the time. Not all the time, but often enough in articles or little things people say. Like, you can't look at the pure number. You got to look at the percentage. It's crazy. Sorry. We took 1%. No. There you go. Sorry. It's too fun doing bird. Yes.
Can we just maybe like something simple for number 10?
Oh, what does skewed mean? How do I tell if it's right or left? I have to see which way. It looks like somebody pulled on it, right? So I said draw a distribution that's skewed right. Start with a normal curve and pull it to the right. Didn't I say skewed right?
Yeah.
And just pull it.
But there's no formula or there's that.
No, it's just you have to draw the picture, that's all. You can even do it with a histogram kind of thing. It would have to look something like this. See, it's got a big ass tail going to the right. So as long as the tail is going to the right, that is skewed in that direction. Yes?
So what number three, the first one.
Oh, the practice test. Number 3. Oh, okay. Oh, you had a little question on it too. The question asks how many standard deviations away would a price of 130. Oh, I really did a bad job. Away from the mean. I didn't really make a complete sentence there, but how many standard deviations away from the mean would 136 be? And of course, that just calculate the what? Is what tells you the number of standard deviations from the mean. So just plug this stuff into the z-score formula. Well, that's my fault. I really made a pitiful statement there. How many standard deviations away from the mean is $136? Yeah. Well, I've used this practice test for I don't know how many years. I've never caught that.
So this is talking about 2, right? Number 3?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So you guys looking at me expectantly. I got nothing. It's all on. This part of the class is all based on you. Yes.
Can you just like re-explain for number 4, C?
Oh yeah. So if I ever use a word like the percentage of, or if I had to say 30% of them were blonde or something, forget the percentage. That's what I did with the data. What was the data? So in this case, the average number of TVs was that. Or forget about the average. What's the question I ask people? Not do you have a TV? How many TVs? So what level of measurement is that? Well, is it qualitative or quantitative, the number of TVs? Quantitative. So you know it's going to be either interval or ratio. For ratio, what would I look at? Yes, so if somebody told me 0, does that mean what it's supposed to? Yes, it means the absence of TVs in their house. It's ratio, done. And you have to tell me that though. Don't just say 0 makes sense, right? I'm not going to take you at your word. Prove it to me. If somebody said 0, that would mean no TVs in their house. That shows me that 0 means what it should in this situation. Don't just say division makes sense. Show me. This guy has 8 TVs. This guy has 4 TVs. 8 divided by 4, this guy has twice as many TVs. Bam. I like it.
So for 4A, would it be ratio for the 30% of them are blonde?
No. What was the question I was asking?
Identify the following as normal.
How many out of them?
Oh, okay. So very often what I'll do on this kind of problem is I'll say identify the variable. So if you say how many people were blonde, then the answer will be ratio. If you say, because really what I intended there was what color hair do you have? Because then I can get a whole bunch of hair colors and see what percentage of each one. That would be what level? What color hair do you have? What level is that? Nominal. I love it. So on the test, I will ask you what's the variable in this case, because then you could say, well, they asked how many people were blonde. And then your answer would be ratio. That would make sense. I like it. Yes?
For the test.
Yeah. How many series are we? Oh, that's. So what tells you the number of standard deviations away from the mean? Z-score does. So then you want to use the Z-score formula for that. Yeah.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Same thing. Start with-
Yes.
Something that's number 11.
11? Oh. Look at number 11 on the practice test. Why is that a parameter? All, which means what? It's describing a population. I like it. How would you change it to be a statistic?
You say 42% of Americans are 300.
Pay 'em off.
Yes, you say replace the word all with some sample. 40% of the 30 selected, whatever. It's that word all that tells me it's the population, therefore it's a parameter. Yeah. I like it. Yes.
Can we do 116B?
Which, sorry?
116.
When you grab it, you have to go.
Oh, so that's using, you want to go 2.2 below, so this would be minus. And see, why does this have a plus sign in the formula? Because if it's below, the z-score is negative.
Mhm.
I don't know if you see what I'm saying. So you're going to have to subtract 2.2. That's because the z-score would be negative 2.2. I want to go down 2.2 steps. And you can just fill in the values for the rest of it, yeah. Anybody use, anybody find, what about like Khan Academy or any YouTube stuff? I mean, it's absolutely insane, the number of resources you guys have. And it's equally insane how very few of them people use. So, if you don't, I put my videos up. That's one place. If you're like, I can barely take this guy live, you can go to YouTube, search standard deviations. Look through a few, this guy's shit, this guy don't understand, this woman makes sense. And then you go to her channel and you see what other things she has. Or how about books? You guys remember books? You got some books? If you go to Barnes & Noble or something, they have study guides. That's how it got me through grad school, dude. Hello. There's Shams study guide. Has anybody ever heard of Shams?
I have a study guide for
SCHAUMS.
dummies.
Shams has like a ton of explanations and then some problems worked out. REA guides is what got me through because they have like thousands of example problems of stuff. It's insane. Anyway, sorry. You don't have to do that, but if you're having trouble, you got to use some resources. It's insane. You go to YouTube, just type in how to calculate a z-score. And there's going to come up all these videos. And if you find somebody that makes sense, see what other freaking videos they put up. You guys are living in this age. I remember, when I was young, I had to walk uphill both ways. We didn't have no YouTubes. We didn't have any of that shit. All right, so we just had to get in groups and work together and say, Tom knows number 8 and I know number 7. So that's 2 of the problems done. Yay. Who else knows shit? Who else knows it? So nowadays, you guys have a ton more resources. And you got me too. You come see me in my office. I'm sorry this morning they didn't open the door up. I'm trying to figure this situation out. I don't know. I will be in the classroom at 8:30 for sure. Every day, every time that we have class. So you guys can come early for all my questions. All right, what else we got? Anything else from stuff? Or you guys are like, my brain is full. You should all take a nap after this class. That's when your brain organizes information. You should take a nap.
I got kids. I can't do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't like give them a little kid NyQuil and then
Some melatonin.
No, they're 13.
melatonin, yeah.
And
Oh,
11. No.
okay, that ain't gonna work.
Nope.
So can we just go to
As soon as I get home.
Oh yeah, all
Hi,
right.
Mom. Hi, Mom. I'm like, questions, time out.
Do you have the data in order somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, real quick, let me give you the answer key for that. And then I'll do that problem. Somebody asked me a problem about 1G.
What's one for?
It's the answer key.
Oh. Wait a minute. Okay. I got that. I didn't do this.
All right, 1G is about. Oh, don't forget your IDs. Whoever gave me. I hate when people leave their IDs. It always makes me feel uncomfortable. Yes.
I visit here Friday.
Let's study into
Oh,
this.
I got this one. Percentiles?
Is this on the
That was the other one.
Maybe he's going over a few more.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Almighty.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Calculator.
Here's the order.
All right, you can help me. So 1G, guys. How do you find the 5-number summary? What is it again?
99.
Low?
Oh, no.
Which one is he doing?
So the low and the high are easy enough.
Yeah.
What are those?
The height is gonna be
Which
62.
one?
1G.
Oh, 1G.
1G, yeah. Box plot and 5-number summary. How do you find Q1?
25% of the total number.
Yes, and how many numbers are there in this one? So 25% of 15,
3.75%.
round up to 4. What's the fourth number?
40.
All right, that's the fourth number. So how do you find any percentile? Take that percentage of how long the list is, because if you go in that far, you'll pass that much, and that's what a percentile means. Please let that make sense. Comes out to decimal, you round it up, take a number. If it comes out to a whole number, you average that with the next one. Q2 is going to be half of 15. So what's the 8th number?
45.
Q3 is going to be 75% of 15. I don't know, what's that going to be? 11.25?
Mm-hmm.
So the 12th number? 52? All right. So now you can make your box plot. The biggest mistake is somebody does this beautiful thing. All right, that's shit, right? That is absolute shit. Every box plot you make is going to look exactly the same if you do that, and that's not the purpose. The shape of it is supposed to tell you something. And now we understand things a little better. It should tell you the spread of the data, for one thing. It should give you an idea about the standard deviation without actually calculating the standard deviation. If you do this correctly, that sucks. That scale is dumb. Because one was 5 and another one was 11. No, it's got to be consistent. In fact, even my tick marks suck. All right, Jeff. Well, I don't know why I did tick marks first. I want to go from maybe 25 up to 65. What's going to get me there? Let's just do this. No, I don't know if you. I did it. Yay, Jeff. Look at me go. And now what do I do?
Above it, write tick marks for each of your 5.
Yeah. So above this, so 20, where am I at? 29 is right below 30. 40 is right at 40. That's amazing. 45 is right there. 52, get out of there, get out of there. Is right about here, and then 63 is right about here. Box whiskers. Coolness. So please make a consistent scale. Your scale has to take these into account, but these don't have to be anywhere on your scale. They just have the place to go. Don't make your scale based on each of these numbers. That's bad. Okay. It's an older reference, but it's still out there. Bad skills, you buy it. Yes.
Professor, so it's gonna be 25, 50, and 75?
Yes. By definition, 5-number summary is kind of like progressing through a ball game. first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, start of the game, end of the game. Yes. Whew, man. I just wanted to take a nap. Like I said earlier. Anything else? Anybody got? I love how some people are like, I don't want to leave too early because somebody might ask a good question. Yes.
Since I forgot to do it, I'm gonna ask. When you're asking us to create a histogram, will we get marked down if we forget to label?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a little important, right? Telling somebody what these things mean. Yes. So yeah, I'll take some points off.
Because the homework reminded me what this did, so.
Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna say make one. So you got to know that a part of that is putting the labels on.
Can you do it before? I gave you a calculator back then. No,
Did you?
I didn't.
Oh, I got it.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I must have stolen one for myself. That's right. This time I gave you not mine.
For number 9, I'm just confused like how it is separate because from the other one we've done you just have one.
Yeah, I know. So
So do I just do it from
this is at now watch. This is kind of cool.
all of them?
It's asking for a box plot, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
like
how many
identify the
data points are
following
there?
as
They have these
normal,
5.
ordinal,
Oh wait.
interval,
14,
or ratio
25.
variables.
So to
I thought you
find,
meant, like,
you
so
write this kind of
wouldn't
nifty.
the-
You could either write 0, 0, 0,
Wouldn't A
0,
be-
0,
Oh, okay.
1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That would suck.
Yeah.
So watch. Q1
Ratio.
would be
It's
25%,
nominal
of
because it's
25,
descriptive.
Yeah.
So it's talking about.
and that's going to be
color. So you don't
6.25.
really pay attention to the percentage.
You see what the seventh number
Oh,
is?
that's what I'm doing. Okay.
Oh, so I have. Okay.
The
So
first
that's-
5 numbers are all 0, so
But
the
no.
7th number is going to be a 1.
Oh, okay.
These are number. This is how many, and this is the data.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
So you don't
So the
have
average
to.
temperature
You can
would
actually
be
once you figure out
variables,
the
right?
position, you can see
Interval.
what it must be.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
What did he say? I don't remember.
Sorry, say again.
I would think it's variable.
Yeah. So a
Varies
z-score is the number of standard deviation
You know what I mean? Like,
From the mean?
significant, then
to a data.
Variable isn't an option, it's just nominal, ordinal, interval, or.
So if I had a z of
ratio.
negative
That's not
1.40,
the-
that means that data
The
point
selections that you
is
said.
Oh,
1.4
so we don't have to worry about the
standard deviations below the
variable.
mean. Z-score. This
so
would
that'll
mean that
Right.
that'll be interval
data
then B,
Mm-hmm.
is 1.4 standard
and then
deviations
C is
below
ordinal.
the mean.
Ratio.